We're amped
on the
up.
streets.
We're ready to go. We're making it all happen today. So buyers, right? We're talking about this is agent training for buyers. We're shifting it just a little bit with the topic you just brought up, Marcia. You were talking about collecting money, right? So as a real estate agent, you have, if hopefully you're working with investors. Hopefully you realize that working with normal single-family buyers is a death trap, and you're going to be working for the rest of your life by doing that. Whereas working with investors, it's high fives with good friends, showing them a couple of properties. In many cases, not even going out to the properties, not showing them the properties, just saying, are we putting an offer in? Cool, and letting the home inspector deal with it later on. As you become a very good investor agent, that's the relationship you end up having. The investors are not coming down looking at property, they're trusting your opinion, and you're just closing deals. So it's just money. Like money just comes through because you're helping them make money, and you're helping them build systems. So one of the systems that you build is raising capital for your investors. If you're a good agent, you should understand how money works, right? Because then you can say, well, you don't have that option? Here's an option so you can buy a property, right? A true agent alchemist is somebody who can turn any deal into something that somebody could finance, right? What is the definition of a buyer? You guys remember the definition of a buyer?
One who buys.
One who buys. So to buy, you must have either both determination and money. So if they're agent, I mean, they got to come with the determination, right? You can inspire them, you can empower them, but they've got to come with the determination. On the other side of that, the money you can help them with, right? Now you can't give them your own money; it's illegal, right? So we can't give them down payments, we can't give them money in the transaction, but you can educate them how to raise capital, right? You can give them access to the Get the Money course, the information that you have in your head. You guys have both taken Get the Money, right? So that's a course that you can educate people on. If you have a buyer you're working, and they're like, oh, well, I don't have the money right now for that deal. Well, what do you mean? Here's how you get the money for that deal. Now, what Marcia brought up was one of our students he's very aggressive. He's like, well, you got money sitting there. Why is the money sitting there? You got like, let's get moving. You know, you got to put that money to work, right? Put it into a real estate deal. And you got to look at it the same way. People with money, right? People with money. Has anybody ever seen the Crazy Hot scale? It's for women, right? So women's attractiveness dictates how crazy they are and how hot they are, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
With investors, we have the money, and well, it's guys, right? The other side of it is the guys. It's the money and attractiveness scale, or money and age scale, right? The older a person gets, it doesn't matter as long as they're making enough money, right? So they can attract a better quality girl, right? So the same thing with investors. We have to understand that investors are so used to people trying to take their money, right? As they get older, as they make more money, they're more protective over it, right? Just like attractive women. An attractive woman is so used to have what's called RBF, right? Resting bitch face. Because they're so used to guys hitting on them that they're like, a guy can come over, sit next to the table, buy them a drink, they're like, no thanks, but I'll take the drink, right? And then, not talking to you very long, thank you, right? Or, oh, you're so pretty, yeah, thanks, and they dismiss, right? Investors, people who've accumulated money are the same way. I can't tell you how many times people come to me saying, hey, have you heard about cryptocurrency? Do you want to get into this? And I'm like, oh, no, pass. Oh, we should get on a call. Not interested. The only thing I want to do is get into what makes me money, that I know makes me money. So when you're approaching somebody who's accumulated money, somebody who's older in age, they have all these barriers. So when you come in full, hey, let's go do something with your money, you sound like everybody else. You sound like everybody else. Just like the girl at the bar who's very attractive, sitting there just trying to mind her own business, and somebody comes over and says, hey, can I get your number? It's like, whoa, like that's too fast, you know? Like for that girl, she's concerned for her safety. For that investor, he's concerned for his money safety.
Right.
This correlation makes sense.
100%.
Right? Because most people aren't out there hunting for money, right? Whereas we've all either been that girl or seen that girl like get hit on. It's like, oh my God. Right? This is something you can relate to. It's the same feeling. It's the same feeling when a person's accumulated money. It's this fear of, hey, you know, maybe you don't understand the respect I have for this. It took me a while to get here. So, very good point, Marcia. When you come into a conversation with somebody who has money, you literally have to, everything that you would do with a girl, like, yeah, don't really care that you have money. That's cool, nice. Same as everybody else. Your beauty doesn't matter, right? Same as everybody else. With the money, like you can't feel like they have something that you don't have. If you have that feeling, you will not attract it. You will not take it, right? You have to go in knowing that you have value, demonstrating value. We call it the dentist system, right, Ron? No, we don't. He's like, no, we don't. Stay away from that.
Don't include me.
Do not include me in this conversation, yeah. So, demonstrate value, right? Demonstrate value and create an atmosphere of they want to pay attention to you now, right? So if they know, if you come over and you're talking to them and you find out they have money, don't get crazy about it. Oh, cool, congratulations, great job on that. You're clearly a very good investor, right? Let them tell the story of how they accumulated it so you understand the work that was behind it, so you can understand how much value they put on it. And then you say, you know what, it's interesting, you sound a lot like my buddy who I'm currently borrowing money from at the moment. Not borrowing money, putting money to work for him at the moment, pay him a 12% interest. He had that same story, worked hard, built his business. You're telling stories now, remember? Facts tell, stories sell. Mm-hmm. So you bring it back around to a story where you can correlate those people, right? And if you have any concern on the story, I've put money into 12% accounts. Ron's put money into 8% return on investment. So he's letting his money out at 8, right? So there's people you know who actually have, and the reason we do it, because yes, we can do our own projects, and yes, we do our own projects. We make a lot of money on those, far more than that return. But there's something about that stable money coming through, that easy, we don't have to do anything about it, it's just quick money. What's up, Frank? Quick money, stable, coming through no matter what. That's money that every investor should have in their portfolio, right? Even I have guys who flip with us, guys who buy real estate with us, that also have money lent to us. So they're doing multiple different avenues in their portfolio, and this is what one of them says to me. He says, yeah, it's just part of my portfolio. There's my 12% return, there's my flexible big return, and then there's my rental income that just comes in no matter what. And then he's got his 401k, which is a whole other element. But now he uses his 401k to lend with us. So he's getting that 12% using his 401k, not paying taxes. It's deferred. Passive income, brother, you know it. It's all about that cash flow. So when you go into those conversations, sometimes the more passive approach works. Sometimes you gotta come through and just, you raise capital being like, hey, yeah, if you want, if you're interested, I could do that for you. And a lot of times I'm raising capital without a deal ready. So I'm literally, yeah, we do this, I just don't have anything ready right now. I'm being honest with them. I'm not telling them, I've got a deal you want to get in on, you got to get in on this. This is what my deals look like, you know, and I just don't have one for you at the moment because we just talked about it. I wasn't looking for money, right? But when I am ready, when I do have a deal lined up, is this something you'd be interested in? Super passive. It's a completely different way of doing it. John, it was great seeing you last night, man. Super passive. Collecting money is super easy. As a real estate agent, you should be able to teach your clients how to do this. This is especially first-time investors, right? You've worked a lot of first-time investors at this point. And this is one thing that they say all the time. Oh, I don't have the money, I don't have the down payment. We're talking about $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 in some cases. Start learning how to raise private capital on the easy money, right? Mom and dad probably have that. Your uncle probably has that. Like, your siblings might even have it. It's such small money that somebody has $10,000 for you, right? Like that's the reality of it. Yes, you should be saving that money up for yourself, and absolutely, if you haven't saved $5,000, you got bigger problems, right? Start with learning how to save $5,000. Get that little nest egg, obviously. But once you've gotten to that point, you've proven it, it's stayed there for a long time, you can raise capital, right? Because, I mean, even at my, I don't know, I've probably run about, I think we've had close to 300,000 in the bank account, but that's not where we typically run. We run lower, we run way lower, probably closer to 50,000, 40, 50,000. And for how much we own, that's not a lot of money, right? For how much, I mean, the bills every month are somewhere around 30 grand. So it's not a ton of money to have in reserves because it doesn't necessarily have to be there. If something comes up, we go take a loan for it. Right? If something so bad needs to be done right then and there, probably the insurance company's taking care of it, or we'll go take a loan for it. So if you don't have anywhere near our expenses, then at $5,000, that's pretty much the same range, right? This is 10 times less. So if our buildings are worth $5 million and your buildings are worth $50,000, then there you go, right? If that's all your assets added up are $50,000, then you should have $5,000 in the bank. Does that make sense? Simple math, if I did it right. So working with buyers agents is not buyer's agent, working as a buyer's agent, working with investors is practice for you. It's literally, it's how I built my business, just teaching, like working with people, learning from the investors in the beginning, and then starting to teach them the things I've learned, and then becoming very good at doing it myself. Learning, I was getting paid commission checks for doing transactions, teaching other people how to buy real estate, but sharpening every time. I negotiate a little harder as if it was my own deal, right? Every single time I went to a transaction, I'm like, look, I'm the buyer, right? As if I was the buyer for my client, because it got me sharper. So that when they are my deals, I'm just as good, I'm just as intense. You know, I'm like, Ron, send this email to that guy, let's do this, let's get that one, and let's send the lending out to a bunch of different options. Who's cheapest, right? Who can do it the fastest? Whose terms do we like? You know, who scares the heck out of us and who not want to owe money to? So there's different avenues from being an actual buyer's agent, helping other buyers, that translate right over to it's a skill that you need the rest of your life as an investor. That makes sense? You've got to learn how to raise capital, right? Being able to teach your clients how to raise capital is huge. It's outstanding. And then the other side of this, as an agent, as an investor, you've got to know the path, right? You got to know the path of where you're going. So last night we did the meditation, so that was fun, right? And it helped you kind of get clear on some of the goals. And that's key. Clarity is key. As an agent, when you're working with buyers, you've got to be able to create clarity for them, right? If they think, well, I'm just going to buy this house, I'm going to live here and that's it, maybe. Where are you going 5 years from now? Because that really dictates what we do today. Like the type of property you're buying today really dictates what you're going to do 5 years from now, 10 years from now. This is a 30-year mortgage that you're taking out. This is a big loan. It's a big long-term commitment. Do you plan on, because sometimes they'll say, I just want to buy this single family and then I'm going to maybe buy 2 or 3 houses and invest. The reality is it'd be easier to buy that multifamily first. It'd be far easier to buy those couple of multifamilies and then buy the single family afterwards. Within a year or two, it doesn't have to be a very long term, but within a year or two, you can have the multifamilies and the single family paying for it, all covered, right? The other side of it is, we went to, so you asked about the course, right? Charles Dobbins, how to buy 1,000 units in 5 years. The math works. I looked at it, right? So if I'd started with that mindset of going to 1,000 units, because remember, I started with a mindset of going to 40 units, right? I'm at 42 with potential to be at 125 next year. So it's by the way, I'm looking for property, looking to buy anything 6+ in Fall River. I don't buy anywhere else. But that's something that if I'd started with a mindset of 1,000, I would have been at 1,000 right now. Right? If I'd started that way. I know. I know. So it's one of those elements, and maybe I would have stopped at 400, right? Maybe I would have stopped at 300. Who cares? The point is that if I'd set it that high and I'd had the encouragement that it was possible, then I would have done it. I absolutely would have. It's just that mindset wasn't there, right? Income desire wasn't there. It was just, let's just run it, right? Now let's do the math, right? Because Charles does it the opposite direction. Anytime I set a goal, I go in reverse. Like he goes, if you buy 20 this year, then you buy 40 next year, and then you buy 120, and then you keep stacking it up to the point where you've gotten, it's doubled and doubled and doubled. So just double every year. I've said this for a long time. But I like to go in reverse. So if I say 1,000 units, I go 1,000, 500, 250, 125, 75, it's 62, and then 31. So your first year, you got to be 31. Andrew, how many units did I tell you got to buy this year?
30 units.
Yeah. I told you if you buy 30 this year, you're on course, right? You're on track. Because it's very reasonable to do that. It's very reasonable to go and pick up 30. It doesn't have to be 30.
So I'm in a good place, right? I'm starting
you're starting 100%.
So I don't have to change my goals.
You don't have to change your goals.
Okay, good.
Here's the deal with 30. By the end of the year, you can retire.
Yeah.
Rich.
I'm only 1 year rich.
Very wealthy, right? Or you could do it again the next year.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could continue to double it. Right?
How many retire when I'm 30? Till then?
That's what I did, right? I retired at 30. But I retired at 30 with far less units than you're capable of because I didn't have me, right? That's unfair advantage you have. Look at you. How dare you, right?
When I do it, we'll go together.
That's it, brother. That's it. That's the goal. We hit different vacations, right? I'm going out on So I'm going to California tomorrow. Today. I'm leaving today. So I'm going to California. I have a girl of mine that I care about deeply. So we're gonna go hang out. I'm going to see Yosemite. I'm gonna go see San Francisco, and we're gonna talk real estate the whole time, and we're talking about her business. Right? It's just one of those things that I will come back on fire because I'll have been away from this for like 4 or 5 days, which will kill me. But cause I just love this. This is my life. But I'll come back with a slightly different perspective, right? Just pulled back a little bit, and Ron knows every time I come back, I'm like, let's go! And
Ron
he's,
just go away?
oh yeah,
Ron does whatever he wants.
Ron does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So Ron is this week watching the trainings from Charlie Dobbins. So Ron, again, I'll come back on fire. He'll come back on fire. So it's gonna be a very cool Monday. Every Monday, and I get asked to do things on Mondays, I just tell people no. Right? Monday is the day that Ron and I sit for 4, 6, 8 hours just writing out the plan for the week, for the year, for the month. We're constantly hitting it again every single week. You'd think, oh, you hit that once, why you gotta do it again? Every week we're destroying things. We're tightening the vision, we're putting the plan together, and the first couple of minutes, the first half hour, it's like, oh, are they making progress? Are they gonna make progress? And by 2 o'clock, it's like, oh my God, like we don't have enough time of the day to write all these things down and get it done. And then because we're working on principles, we're working on the one thing. By the end of that week, we've crushed something. And the next week, we've got all new projects. Like business is never the same for us. It's never, oh, well, we bought a house and things are just running smooth, right? It's okay, we've bought 24 condos this year. How do we disposition 24 condos? What are we buying with those funds? I was on a phone call yesterday with my buddy Mitch Durfee, and he's looking to buy skyscrapers. You know, we haven't really had a reason to play around with them, right? But now I was like, oh man, we got to disposition $1 million, right? We want to 1031 that into something. How do we move $1 million? And a skyscraper might be a good avenue, or even a large building, right? If a large building with, like in Fall River, a few of these just went recently. There was 200 units went for 17 million. So say 100 units is around that $8 million point. That means I only have to raise $2 million. And if $1 million of it's ours already, then raising the other $1 million is a lot easier for me, right? It's because there's other people in our same position who are moving property and they need to 1031 it. So we can bring them in as partners or something along those lines. So it's a situation where it's like, man, like we gotta start looking for these bigger buildings. Or are we looking at 6 to 12 units for every condo we disposition to a 6 to 12? Because the down payment's about the same. 100,000 in equity gives us a $500,000 building. So for every condo we sell, we can go buy a $500,000 building, which is a cool strategy. It's a cool thing, a cool opportunity. A lot of the investors I know out there, some of the guys who are doing flips are buying one flip, selling one flip, buying one flip, selling one flip. Or they're buying a flip and they're buying 2 houses. What we're looking at doing is what we just did, what I'm suggesting to you, right? And you as well, go out and buy portfolios. Then you have, for the rest of the year, your inventory, you know what you're gonna sell. So you can transfer it into bigger projects. If the portfolio already has 10, 12 unit buildings, you can keep those, right? But if it's made up of 3 families, 2 families, singles, then you know immediately what you're getting rid of, right? He and I picked up a portfolio 2 years ago. We picked up 3 buildings. It was a commercial spot, a single family, and a 4 unit. We knew immediately, we're keeping the 4 unit, we want the others gone. We don't want anything to do with them. And the city wouldn't let us split off the commercial units, so we kept that. But that single family was on the market the next day, right? Like immediately, that's Morton Street, Brain Street and Morton Street. The first, like, put on the market for 140, we paid 250 for the portfolio, 140, we got rid of that. Now we're into the rest of this 110, right? Great spot to be, because you buy the portfolio to recapitalize, and then you keep the best parts and you sell off the ones that somebody else will do well with them, right? Send it to a small investor who wants to buy condos, or wants to buy single families, or wants to buy duplexes or triplexes, and you keep the 6, right? You can buy 5 buildings and just keep the 6 and get rid of everything else and roll them into more 6s, or whatever your portfolio goals are. If you're buying a cluster of condos or cluster of singles and you want to buy 3 families, that's where you are. That's your progression. But it's called pyramiding. You guys heard of this before? So I learned about pyramiding from a book called How I Made $1 Million in 2 Years. the book is based out of Boston, so it's cool. He talks about the streets that he was buying on, why he was buying on them, and he talks about the appreciation. All the numbers are in there. In fact, it was the inspiration for my book. So it was the reason I wrote mine in the format that I did, although he went way deeper into the details of the numbers. And I stayed more on the personal story side, right? So you got to read the book, right? How I Made $1 Million in 2 Years. And it's a purple book with, I think, yellow letters, really long title, but the book is phenomenal. It's small, but it talks about, he just bought 4 houses. And it was like, buy a house every 6 months, and they were fourplexes, and they were in gentrifying areas. So the next year, boom, his net worth went up. His net worth went up. He sold one, he pyramided. He sold one and bought 2. And then, boom, there it was. He had the ability to have all of this equity sitting in 3 buildings. And in a short period of time, he was worth $1 million, 2 years. Because of the massive appreciation that Boston was experiencing at the time, and still experiencing it. But he was buying these things at $300,000 and $400,000, right? In areas that went and doubled their value in 2 years. So very unique situation that he was in that market, but that's everywhere. All over the country, those appreciation plays exist. And currently, we're in a market that's growing, especially on the multifamily side. We're seeing the singles taper off, slow down, but the multifamilies have not stopped. They're continuing to rise, continuing to sell because of the nature of the market. Millennials aren't trying to own. Millennials are coming out of school with a lot of debt. So they're renting. They're doing what they have to do. They're more transient. They don't want to tie down yet. So there's a whole different mindset around owning single families that eventually will single families be a good investment for us again? I'm sure they will. But for right now, they don't really work, except for in the Midwest or certain parts of the South. But up here in New England, it's not really convenient to own a single family home. There's still enough value there where we can't get the rents high enough. So, as investors, as agents, going into the marketplace and providing education on how to finance a deal means more deals getting done. As a buyer of real estate, going out and hunting for larger portfolios, it's way easier to raise capital for $1 million project than it is to raise capital for a $100,000 project. The clientele is just different. Right? Raising that $50,000 is way easier than raising that $10,000. Right? The person who's willing to give you $10,000 probably needs their $10,000 back soon. Right? The person who's giving you $50,000 accumulated it. It's been sitting there for a while. They know how to hold off on what they're living on. This making sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So the strategy he and I are running right now is buy portfolios, sell off individual pieces, break them apart, right? Break the portfolio apart. Here's the other side of it, and this is what they do in Boston, right? Look at Boston. You buy a triplex, they break it apart into condos. Money is made when you add value. Land, you buy land, you put buildings on it, right? Money is made when you've changed it into something that people can have individual purchase of. You want to make even more money? Go and buy a condo and give people shares of the condo, right? Everybody has a share of the condo, everybody's making money off of that building. Now you've split up ownership. People are doing this now. I can't remember the name of the platform, but you can have groups buying a multifamily together. Full syndication, similar to syndication, but this is with small single-family homes. Multiple people are now owners collecting the rents. You guys heard of anything like that? Yeah. So I've seen these. So when you split ownership of something, perfect example, Coca-Cola sells these little tiny cans that make your hands look huge, and then they sell the normal size can, and then they sell the 2 liter. The 2 liter is cheaper than the same amount of Coca-Cola in that little tiny can, right? The more you split it up, the more you get paid. Now on the other side of it, to have a bunch of inventory, it's way easier to have it all in one shot, right? So we're constantly accumulating big empires that are all together, but the key is by splitting up other empires. Does that make sense? So we want one big portfolio, but the key to getting there is to take other big portfolios, split them apart, and take the pieces that you want. Redistribution of property so that you can reallocate it to your own section. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That is what we're paid for. Well, as investors, that's what we do. We go out and we improve something and we sell it to somebody else, whether we keep it or lease it, right? Whether we sell it to somebody and completely it's gone and they keep it and it's theirs. Sorry, I said that wrong. Whether they keep it or whether we lease it to somebody, right? Tenants. So Charlie Dobbins has a great thing he says all the time is that our clients are our tenants. They can also be our employees, right? But you have one job and it's selling. You're selling leases. The idea is, how do I sell my leases for more money? And as rehabbers or wholesalers, it's, how do I sell this for more money? For the flip, what do I have to do to sell it for more money? And it's a combination of all of those. I wholesale when it's outside of my market. Deals come to me all the time that are in New Bedford and Brockton and Taunton, and I just wholesale those. I pass them on to somebody else. When the deal makes sense, I'll buy it and I'll flip it. When the deal makes even more sense, I'll buy it and I'll keep it. Right? I'd rather keep everything. I wish that all that came to me was 50-unit buildings and that's all I had to do is just buy those and keep those. But that's not the nature of marketing. You get a whole bunch of different stuff that comes through and you got to find a way to make money with those and help other people make money with those. And the portfolio is just easier to catch than a 50-unit building. A 50-unit portfolio, far easier to accumulate. Right? What I've built, what Ron and I have built, is far easier to do than to just go build a building with 50 units in it, right? So it's far more simplistic to pick up a 50-unit portfolio than it is to pick up a 50-unit building. Now, the building is far easier to maintain, much more worth it for us in the long term, but you got to make something in between to get there. You know, sometimes you have to transfer some deals to get to that point. So, moral of the story is, if you guys know anybody who's selling a portfolio between that 20 to 40 range, or a building between that 20 to 40 range, I'm aggressively looking to buy it. That is my current market right now. I want to buy 20 to 40 units in any condition because we're on the hunt. And then we know Mario's out there raising capital for us. And it's just, hey, they're interested, right? I don't have a deal for you right now, but if I did, would you be interested? And give him that passive angle to go at. Because he has the ability to have the conversation. It's too much fun for him just to move and do. He's got to slow down a little bit and have that rapport building, spend a little more time in rapport, which he's very good at. So guys, get the deal. I'm going to teach you how to get the deal. I'm going to teach you how to get the deals for me. Here's the deal. Bring me $1 million building. I have no problem cutting you a $25,000 check. I'm okay with that. Does that make sense? Bring me $1 million building that I close on and purchase, $25,000 in your pocket. That's a good day. Nobody's gonna cry about that, right? Nobody's gonna feel bad for you because you brought me $1 million building. And if you find $1 million building and you want to buy it and you can raise the capital, do it. Now you've made the $1 million. So that's literally the proposition. Put yourself in that position to either make 25 grand or make $1 million, but have that choice, right? People are playing with small fries and they're gonna work the rest of their lives, which is, God bless them, right? I love people working because that's who feeds us, right? That's who makes sure that McDonald's is running and Taco Bells are there, so as I'm traveling the country, I can eat the same food consistently. But at the same time, you guys are here learning, grinding. You could do bigger things, right? Make the right calls. You don't have to know a lot of people. I saw to Mitch, there's only, of 200 unit buildings, there's only 2,300 in the country. It's a small inventory. There's only a handful ever made. So it can become very easy to meet in New England that group of people, right? I know what my job is for the next 50 years, right? It's a super simple job. I've just got to meet the people with the biggest buildings. Biggest portfolios, biggest buildings. Hang out with those guys until they're ready to dump. And then take it and help them make money on the way out. Either by buying it or the team transferring it or wholesalers wholesaling it, whatever the option is. Or seller financing where I give them money for a person. There's so many ways, there's at least 3 to 4 common ways we can help people with big portfolios move their money out. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
I just want to help rich people get richer. I want to help poor people get rich. Like, it's at every level in this game, we're just helping people make more money. Good people. I don't like bad people. I'll be real about it. That's the one thing I'm very stereotypical. I'm like, bad people, I'm not working with you. Right? Good people, all day. I want to see good people rich. When bad people get rich, doesn't doesn't help the world. When good people get rich, it can't help but help the world. Yeah, so looking to write the book, How to Invest in Fall River. I mentioned it last night. So this book is a work in progress, but the idea is I want to build this city up bigger than Boston, bigger than the cities around us. I want to get the airports back in here, make it a place where people want to invest. And we're going to create that simply by, once I get the book created, once we get the training courses created, I'll start touring the country, bringing everybody back in, bringing the money in, and saying, hey, you want to invest? It's the city to invest in. We raise a private capital, we bring businesses, we bring investors. So the people who are buying right now are going to pay off everything that we're doing. I will be collecting real estate for the next 5 years while we're building all of this. Because as it's going up, I want to capitalize on it's going up. And I will also be the reason that it's going up. So we can control our real estate, we really can, by intelligently planning in the right places and thinking long term, generational wealth, right? Like Warren Buffett said, rich people think about 3 generations. Poor people think about Saturday. They're planning for Saturday, whereas the rich are planning for 3 generations deep. So it's the same thing. We can blow Boston out of the water 3 generations from now, if that's the intention today, to have our own seaport. We got the waterfront, we got things, right? We got plans, the city has plans to put all sorts of condos and businesses right along that waterfront, sky rises. If you've seen the plans, it looks impressive. We've just got to let people know that this is happening and bring the right investors in, bring the businesses in. Boston's success comes from it having 2 jobs for every 1 person. All we gotta do is bring jobs. And for us as real estate investors, if we're turning property, contractors, plumbers, electricians, bringing people in, for encouraging the entrepreneurs, all of these elements bring jobs to a community. Right? Right now we have contractors who drive from Fall River all the way up to Boston because everybody is doing work there. They're getting paid better because Boston's willing to pay more because their prices have gone up because they have jobs. So it's this reverse that we're going to do. We're going to start bringing them down, and it just makes more sense to bring people in to work here. As we're building our portfolios, we're expanding, as our businesses are increasing, we're going to make sure the contractor's like, well, why would I go to Boston when I could just work right here? Because we have the working force. We do have it. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Raise values, help people make more money. Help good people make good money. That's a simple strategy. I've been doing it for years. But now I got a team that can go out and do it. So get the deal, GwalterMurrell.com/intensive. We're going to teach you how to get the deal January 25th to 26th. This is going to be a super valuable course for anybody who is looking to, they've already figured out get the money, and now they're looking to get the deal. Find out where that deal is, find out how to negotiate it. All of these steps will be in this 2-day. The 2-day is literally 2 freaking days. It's intensive, it's all the way. So it will be a long process because there is a lot to teach, but we're going to get you guys through it. And at Get the Deal, everything you learn to get the money can finally be applied. Cool?
Cool.
All right. Guys, in your choice, always work with the best.